Hey, welcome back, guys. So, I was thinking, instead of trying to come up with some sort of cool video and not working on my actual game, I'm just going to call this one like Dev at Work. And I'm going to show you something that I'm working on and how to do it. And hopefully, it's going to be helpful to you, right? And I think this might be because this is one of GDevelop's worst parts, like worst qualities, or whatever it is we're going to call it, which is performance. And it has a different name, which I call like my little special place in hell. Right? I hate this thing so much. GDevelop is so temperamental when it comes to performance. So the way around this, instead of trying to understand it, which you can't, as far as I can tell, this is just something that happens, right? So the only way that I figured out how to deal with this is to just make your game as light as possible so that it runs everywhere and it has little issues. And even if it's like working really bad, like if GDevelop, if the engine just feels like, hey, I'm going to crap out and not work right, your game is so light that it still runs okay. And that's why Mennonite, the levels were so compact, right? And they didn't like stray off too much into the distance and had a bunch of crazy stuff happening at the same time. That's also why you don't see like many fireballs being thrown at once, is because of that. Because I'm trying to keep the game as light as possible. And I just tested Manorogue, and actually being playing on the game, it's pretty much our entire budget for performance being used, and there's no game yet. So I'm fixing this thing. So how do you do this? How do you go about trying to make your game as light as possible? Right. So I've been checking the profiler. I just ran the profiler, and I've been like fixing my events little by little and trying to make them as light as possible. And even though there's some stuff happening that I don't quite get why, because you shouldn't, this is how you go about it. This is possibly the only way. So on our states, like the event group that determines which state our character is on, if he's running to the left and changing the animation to the left, and so on. I've separated into little groups, and now I can tell that the entire thing costs 0.22, and that the other divided groups, one is 0.10, the other one 0.10, and lastly, it's 0.1. So the last group, I know it's fine. It's working okay. The other two groups, it's 0.10. When I ran the profile, I didn't touch it. So I don't know what's going on with this. Let's try to improve this one, right? Let's try to bring it down from 0.22. And also, every time you run the profiler, you're going to get a different number. So we're just going to try and aim to make it lower. Right. So first of all, let's clear the game. And when you clear the game, the profiler goes away. And as you can tell, for example, my sword attack. Where is it? Sword attack. There we go. See, the sword attack, instead of having just one big thing with all of my events, I separated it into like little groups. So then I can figure out which part is causing the issue. And that is what I did for the movement states. Where is it? There we go. The moving states. So I separated it into three. Now we know that the entering the states animation part, which is this one, it costs pretty much nothing. It's just reading this one event, right? And this is fine. These two, on the other hand, have 0.10 each. So let's try and fix it. How do we make this cheaper? So right now, I basically just have the same event copy pasted with different keys on it, right? And I know for a fact that the gamepad thing it's kind of costly on the performance because for whatever reason, it's constantly checking for it. The keys, this one doesn't do that. This one's fine, but the gamepad, for whatever reason, I don't know, it's really costly. So how do we make it, instead of checking for all of these, how do we make it just check for one of them? Or better yet, if one of them is being used, how to not use the rest, and so on and so on. Well, we check for the common denominator, right? So the keys are different, right? That one's the left key, this one's the right key, the buttons are different. But then we have the boolean, if the buttons pressed equals false. All of these have that one. Now, this isn't going to help our performance, but it is going to help the performance when we're using these events. And the way we're going to improve this a little is like this. I'm going to make a new event. I'm going to drag and drop the common denominator over there, which is the thing they have in common, right? And now I'm going to drag all of them underneath. And what this does is, when the button's being pressed, it no longer checks all of these events, right? So I'm just going to move it underneath, and I'm going to delete the one we already have at the top. So before, when we had left pressed, for example, even though we're using the first one, GDevelop's still reading all the other ones, right? But now, the moment we press this button, this turns to true, this thing. So these things no longer get checked, right? Until this goes back to false. So we kind of fixed this a little. For idle performance, we can't really do more on this. So, because it needs to be ready to be pushed. So this is about as far as we're going to go on this section. Now let's see if we can improve the next one. And also, if you're waiting for like a light bulb moment that I'm going to show you, like, hey, do you see how much better this is? Yeah, none of this is scripted. I just hit record. So this might be nothing, right? It just might be me talking to the microphone. So exiting the state, or when we release the keys, can we do anything here? So these are always being checked, right? Do we have a common denominator? If the text equals left, that's different. Right, left, right, left, right. And if the key is being pressed, okay, this one's true. So that's the common denominator, and that's how you can fix it, right? Cool. So this one, so now it's going to work like another state, actually. It's going to work like a different gate. Let me show you in a second. Let me just fix this. So we do the exact same thing. We make an empty one. We put the common event there. And now we're going to get rid of the duplicates. If it's true. I'm just making sure I didn't just delete something. I don't know if this happens to you guys, but I always get a little OCD when I'm pressing the delete button. I always like to triple check something, the stuff that disappeared. Right. So now it's working. These two, they should be massively improved. Or, well, not massively improved, but improved, right? Because before it was 0.10 each, because they're being read at the exact same time. There was no gate on it. There was no state. But now, when the button's not being pressed, it's reading the top one. When the button's being pressed, it's only reading the bottom one. All right? Does that make sense? Because the way we made this, so before it was reading both. Now it's only going to read one at a time. Okay? Let's see if this is actually true, or if GDevelop's like, nah, I don't care about your logic. I'm going to do what I want. Right. So we need to wait 10 seconds. Oh man, isn't performance fun? And GDevelop's like, it's not your engine like Unreal Engine and so on, where you can just push through, like brute force it with just high performance machines. Like GDevelop's like, you could be running this on a calculator, and if your game is right, it will run smoothly. But if your events are not right, or you know, if whatever, you could have like the best machine in the world and it will run like crap. So let me see if I can find this. Okay, states. Here we go. So exiting states, entering states. Right. How are we doing now? So entering and exiting. So before it was 0.10. Now check this out. I told you it goes up and down, right? So now instead of being 0.10 each, the one that's not being used is at 0, right? And the one that is being used, it went up a little. It's 0.14. That's just stuff that happens, right? This is what I mean about just being random, okay? But the point is, we got rid of 0.10 ms, just like that. And you might be like, dude, that's 0.10. Are you kidding? Like, remember this was 22 or something like that, and now it's 0.16. And you're like, but yeah, it's a tiny little difference. Well, yeah, but you gotta consider that once your game gets real big and there's a lot of stuff going on, let's see if everything still works. Yep, everything still works. Does it work with attacking? Oh yeah, I added a knockback. Well, as far as I can tell, everything still works. Does it work with a controller? Yep, everything still works. So, this is good to check once in a while. So we just did an improvement. And like I was saying, every little bit counts. That's 10. Like if you find another one and that's another 10, that's 0.20, right? And your total budget before your frames start taking a dip, it's 10 ms, right? And it's not 15 or 16 or whatever. Like some people say, it's 10. You have a whole of 10 ms before your frames drop below 60. And that's not a lot. Because you got to think that every 0.100 it's 1 ms. So we just saved 10% of an ms, which is a big thing, right? Uh, and this is what separates the men from the boys, right? You can just throw your game out there and go like, hey, I hope for the best. Maybe it's gonna run well when somebody else opens it and Yahoo, or it's gonna run like crap and I don't care. And if you do that, you're just a bad developer. So exiting states. This is fine. This is fine. I'm okay with this. So now I didn't even check what was the other worst part. But now the entire process would be um let's run it one more time. Do 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 do. I did press. Yeah, I did. So again, you gotta wait 10 seconds. And I'm just checking the idle part. Because this is me not touching anything. Right? The next part is me actually playing the game and then figuring out what's going wrong and then trying to fix it. And yes, I know this is way more boring than. So even just idle, we have like over 25% of our budget already being consumed. And there is no game. Imagine if there was. Yeah, I know this is real boring, but you gotta do this stuff, man. It's part of the job. Movement keys. Again, I'm sorry if I'm slow, but yeah, still blind. There's no cure for what I have. Exiting states when it's released. I mean, now it's way better. Wait, entering states key. Wait, it went worse. It's back to 0.22, but that one's still 0.1. Okay, sure, whatever. What whatever. GDevelop. Whatever. It's still a win. Imagine if the other, when it was like 0.10, I ran it again and this engine ran like crap, it would be like 0.40 or some crap like that. So the next one up, uh, entering states. Okay, the timers. How's the timers doing? 0.2. I'm okay with this. Next one, 0.4. Can we fix anything on there? It's the particle effect. I don't know. We can probably kind of do a little thing there. Let's look for the bigger ones. 0.28 on enemies. Again, this is fine because this is the Pathfinder. And that was it. So, yeah. Actually, I'm done for now. But just for reference, let's try and fix this one a little bit. The movement animation, the frames. No, it's this one. Particles. That's what we want. It's the particles. Is there anything we can do actually? Movement animation states. Let's close that one. This one's okay. Is there anything I can do here? I don't think so because all of this stuff is already being gated. Wait. Uh, if runtimer exists. There we go. That's something we can clear. Look at that. See? It's all the little things count. That's another one we can do. So we can grab this. If runtimer exists, we put it there. Now we gate everything. And instead of reading this thing 4 times, if it doesn't exist, then it's not going to read any times. It's just going to read the 1, right? There you go. Just like that, we just improved our game again. The timer's fine. And again, as I mentioned before, the way I work is I do multiple passes. Right? I look at something, I try and work it out, and then I go like, okay, it's good for now, and then I'll go do something else, right? And then later I come back and I like the next day or something, and I have a different look, and I'm like, how can I improve this? And then I go, oh yeah, I can do this. If you do it like that, you get your subconscious to work for you. What were you doing? This one. Right? You do a little bit, right? You give yourself a puzzle, and then you try to work it out really hard. And then you go, okay, I'll come back to this later. And while you're doing something else, now it's in your subconscious, right? It's in the back of your mind. And your brain's trying to figure it out for you. And that's why sometimes you're taking a shower and you're like, oh, I wonder what I'm going to go eat today. And then it's like, oh, yeah, that's how I fixed the thing. That's the solution. Oh, my God, why didn't I think about it sooner? Right? That's your subconscious working for you. And that's working smart, right? You try to do something, think real hard, and you go, okay, I've done what I could. I'll come back to this later. And then you go do something else, right? And while you're doing something else, your brain's working on the other thing, right? I have that so many times. Right? I just take a break. And I'm like, oh, okay, just gonna take a break. I'm gonna have a coffee or a cup of tea or whatever, and I'm just looking out the window, just sipping my tea, and then suddenly I'm like, oh yeah, That's how I do it. And then I go back and fix it. So yeah, taking breaks is good. Now, can we do something here? Right. That's idle. These are different. If it's true. If step taken is true. Okay. We change to false. What about this one? Step taken is false. Okay. Now this one's fine. So we can't really. The only way to improve this, instead of checking for both of these, I'm not even sure if this would be an improvement or not. I'd have to test it, but it would be to make a new event and just put this one there so that it only reads this thing. It doesn't read this stuff, right? But I'm not sure how expensive this stuff is. We'd need to do some testing. Uh, so okay. Step taken is false. Step taken is false. There you go. That's already something we can improve. So again, we can go like this. And step taken is false. And I go like that. Then we put it underneath. And we put this one underneath. And we get rid of step taken false. Just like that. Now I'm going to put that one underneath as well. Is that a step taken? Yes. So get rid of this one. Whenever you have a comment or a marker, you always need to like drag it up and to the side. What else? Let's go like this. Step taken. Get rid of this one. Put it underneath. What is it? Step taken as well. And yeah, if you ever wondered, like, you keep saying that your eyes are real bad and that you're blind, but you do stuff. You make games. How is that possible? Are you lying to us? Are you trying to get sympathy? As you can tell, I'm not. it it takes a long time for me to do stuff, you know? But I do it slowly. I take my time. I make sure of the stuff that I'm doing. Uh okay, so this part is done. Right? And we can double check by doing that. Yes, everything's underneath. And here, there's a different one. This is how I do my random sounds. So we can do the exact same thing. I'm going to create an event, drag it up, copy paste this one, put it there. And now, because these are all checking for numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, it means if it's greater than 0. So if it's greater than 0. So if it's 0, if this variable is 0, instead of checking this one is like, is it 0? No, it's 1. Is it 0? No, it's 2. Is it 0? No, it's 3, right? It's just going to go, hey, is it bigger than 0? No, then it's going to skip all the rest, right? I hope that made sense. But as I was saying, as you can tell, I do stuff real slow. If it's bigger than 0, this makes sense, right? Yeah. Because all the numbers here are bigger than 0. And there's a lot of these to check. So next time you're playing Mennonite or whatever, if for whatever reason you're still watching this, I check my analytics. I know people don't give a crap about this kind of stuff. Honestly, I'm mostly doing this for myself, just to entertain myself and for the people who do actually, like the rare people who actually do get to this point and they watch all this stuff and they go, oh my god, this is actually helpful. So this is for the two of us. Right. I have been enjoying making YouTube. Right. So the white position of stepping smoke. Okay. We changed that. So instead of running this all the time, we're going to check if the smoke actually exists. Let's see if this works. Instance number of object instances on the scene. Stepping smoke. Is that not what I call it? No, I call it step smoke. There's a big difference. If it's greater than 0 as well. Right. So if it's 0, there is no smoke particles on the ground, then this should be ignored. Right. Now, we improved this 100%. Now I'm going to make sure if this works. Oh, dude, I was going to say, I have no idea because I forgot to check how expensive it was before. But we still had the game running, so it's still here. Which part was this? The timers. Oh, there we go. The particles. There we go. How much is the particles? 0.4. Did we actually make an improvement, or is like GDevelop gonna crap out and it's gonna make it look like we actually screwed this up? Let's see. All right, this is the last one, and then I'm gonna go and have my lunch. I'm gonna take my break. I was looking for the preview button, but there's no preview button on the debugger. There you go. All right, let's run the profiler. Let's wait and hope. Got 10 seconds. Hopefully we made some sort of impact. All right. I'm being called to go have lunch. See, I knew it. I could smell it. I could smell it. I could smell my food. It's like, oh, my belly be yearning. We do be yearning for some food. I went too far. Movement, animation, states, keys, key pressed, timers, particles. You've probably seen it already. I have not. I need this thing to like be sure. And oh my god, 0.3. It's more than that. Trust me, the improvement was more than that. That's just like, I don't know. It's just like it's because you gotta understand that like it fluctuates. It goes real bad and real good and real bad and real good. So actually going down, it means it's like a multiplicative, right? Entering states. I want to check the other one again. Oh, it was this one. Entering state the keys. So where's it at? 0.15. It's still an improvement than before. It's making me look bad. Because the first time I checked it, it was running real good, right? 0.10, 0.10. And now it's like, we got a little worse. I don't get how, right? But sure. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this thing. I hope you learned something. And yeah, go go improve your games. Go dive deep into performance, and just to make sure that everything still works. Performance sucks. Get used to it. All right. All right. It still works because I spawn the puff of smoke and then I go down. So the Z order goes down. And if I keep running, it's still back. All right. And you know what? Even if it's not like massive difference on the profiler, you feel it under the fingers. Right? You feel how your performance increases. Like the game gets more responsive. If I was running the profiler during that, you'd have seen a massive, a massive like increase in performance consumption. Like those numbers, they're so expensive. Anyways, I hope you learned something. That was Dev at work. This is the kind of stuff I do all day, right? If you're a developer, get inspired, go work on your game, right? Do the little things. Trust me, the little things matter more than the big ones. Fix your game, add as much juice as you can, polish the heck out of it until it shines so bright you can see it from outer space. And your game is gonna look and feel and it's gonna captivate and it's gonna inspire other people, right? Because that's how you get inspired. You don't get inspired by seeing something real crappy. You get motivated when you see something so crap and you're like, "Oh my god, I need to make something better to cover that one." Right? That can happen. Like what happened with the Dragon Ball Z creator. Like he watched the live movie and he got so annoyed by it that he made a new series, right? So that motivated him. But inspired, usually you look at something and there's something about it that's so captivating that you're like, wow, I actually feel inspired to go and make something awesome as well. So, yeah. So take some inspiration from that and pick up your games and go polish the heck out of it. Go work as hard as you can on them. And trust me, every little bit that you put in is noticeable. It doesn't matter if it's this tiny little thing in the corner that nobody else is going to notice. One guy is going to notice, and one guy is going to be like, wow, that was great. You know, I've been having that on feedback. Some people notice certain things, and it makes me so happy, right? And some other people notice like some of the polish, some people notice some of this, some of that, and it always makes me happy, when people notice the little details. And trust me, they will always do, right? If the little details are not there, they will notice. If they're there, they may not notice it because it's one of those things like from Futurama, like if you do something right, people think you didn't do anything at all, right? It's I love that quote, and it made so much sense, and that's so true. Right? Anyways, so this was I don't know, Dev at work. I'm gonna call it. And I hope you enjoyed it. It's like a podcast with pictures. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, all that jazz. Leave me a comment. I'll love you a long time. All right. Catch you guys in the next one. Till then, peace out, guys.